Welcome to Talkin' Bengals, your home for innovative insights into all things Bengals. Follow Talkin' Bengals on Facebook and Instagram at Talkin' Bengals or listen on your preferred podcast app. Now, let's start talking.
Hello and welcome into Talking Bengals on this awesome Who Dey Tuesday after a fantastic night of Monday Night Football where Jake Browning became a legend. May we say legendary Browning? It was great. What'd you think about that one?
Who Dey, baby. That's all I'm talking about. Who Dey.
What are your instant reactions a day later?
That was a very, very good game. I loved it. Loved every second of it. I think we actually got to find a good backup quarterback, at least for a game.
Hey, that's what football is made of. And I was actually thinking about it before we got on here. You know, if there's one of two fans of the Bengals won't really particularly care for the game. So it's not a big deal, whatever. And those are the fans who are too old and way too jaded and just, this is just a flash in the pan, people. Or you have the way too young and they're like, well, it's not Burrow. They're not going to win the Super Bowl. But this is what being a fan's about. You have to get excited about these moments. This is a game that we weren't really expecting them to win. This guy made a bad score prediction, but there's a method to the madness. But it was just exciting. It was fun. Like, you know, it's very fun to watch a team play as hard as they did, play as well as they did. And even it's pretty bad or good, I guess you'd say, when Joe Buck and Troy Aikman are even saying, like, wow, this is a good game. So we know they're not really fans of the small to mid-market teams. They're much more Coast East and Texas type teams they care for. But they even said this is a fantastic game for just the pure love of football. It was a fantastic game to watch. It was very enjoyable. And we're back in the hunt. It's not over. We're literally in the hunt. And, you know, I think that's just something awesome. And Burns, what do you think about that? And we can't even hear it. It makes it even better. Maybe if you show up on time. Anyways, let's kick it to Josh. So, Josh, tell us about your favorite parts of last night.
I'd say my favorite part of last night was Jamar Chase was just on fire. Start to finish, what was it, 14 catches? He had, something like that. He had that 75-yard bomb. He just outran everybody. Joe Mixon had some pretty good runs here and there. But my favorite thing was seeing Chase Brown. Finally got to see him come out there and run the ball, and he actually looked really good. Let's see, what was it? He had like half the touches Mixon had, and he had almost the same amount of yards. I mean, fresh legs made a big difference in that game. I'll pass it on over to Burns.
Complaining about this for weeks. It's been running the football. We did it against a top-tier running defense in the NFL this season, and it worked out very, very well. I didn't think we would go that route. I didn't think this week it was going to work out, but A8 Crow, we did the thing, and it was awesome. We got Mixon the ball. Like Josh just said, Chase Brown got the ball, and he did it with half the touches, like he was saying. I'm not prepared like I was last week. I have no stats. I spent 7 hours in the car like I text you guys, so I'm sorry.
Wow. Zach does not have stats. Wow. All right, Hoop, what do you got?
Sounds a lot like me. I don't bring stats to this stuff, you know, because I just like to watch the
And that's why this show is going the way it's going.
Because what, you burn it down to the ground? Anyways, that's what you do.
We digress.
Anyways, I mean, look at Chase Brown. He's electric when he runs the ball. He's side to side. He's got good lateral running. He's good, you know, straight up and down, north and south. Joe Mixon, yet again, proving he can run north and south, and our offensive line proving it's a lot easier to block for our quarterback on a pass play when they think that you're actually running the ball. So, I mean, when you mix it up like that and you're balanced on your offense, your quarterback's going to look really good. Doesn't matter who your quarterback is. But even more so when Jake Browning is throwing dimes all night long. I mean, some of those throws that he was making was almost as good, if I'm going to say on par with what Joe Burrow had performed at his peak a couple years ago. I mean, just throwing him in spots where only the receiver is going to catch the ball. I mean, there was like one pass that was deflected that was maybe a mediocre pass that he threw that I remember. Bernsey, what? Correct me real quick.
No, it's not a correction. It's a thought based on what we talked about last week versus what we saw this week, and that was Joe Burrow involved in the offense. Could that have played to some of the factor of what we saw from Jake Browning last night?
I think
I
he
mean,
heard us saying it.
I think he heard everybody saying it, to be quite honest with you. I mean, everybody was saying, what was Joe Burrow on the sideline doing? Well, Joe Burrow was on the sideline thinking about, I screwed my hand up, probably playing pity me, wanting to be the guy who's out there doing everything. Well, then he got a surgery and he's like, all right, I need to get my head out of my butt and let's be a leader.
Yep.
And Joe Burrow was a leader. He proved it. I mean, just look at that meme that we posted on Facebook. Exactly what we're talking about. Showing exactly what a leader does. I mean, Joe Burrow is a difference maker, whether or not he's playing quarterback. Being on the sideline, hurt, he's still a difference maker. Helping Jake Browning with his reads, helping him with audibles and anything he can do to help. Joe Burrow is a very, very intelligent football player, and Jake Browning. Let's not take anything away from him. I mean, those stats. That's a good Joe Burrow night. And Joe Burrow is top notch. So I would argue that he's the best quarterback in the league when he's healthy. So, I mean, I'm just saying Joe Burrow he's a deal maker, man. And then you have Jake Browning with that backup quarterback. That's a big deal having a good backup when your starter goes out like that.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about those stats. So 32 for 37, 354 yards, 1 touchdown, and the touchdown was an absolute dime. And his 2 most impressive passes of the night were the one he threw to Irwin on the run. That was a fantastic read. I mean, he threw it like a shortstop, across his body, back to the play. It was just fantastic. And then the one where there was a naked boot coming off of the rusher coming off the left side, and he swings it out to Mitch Wilcox. That one really made me say, holy crap, this guy can play quarterback. Because 90% of quarterbacks, whether they're a starter or backup, whoever it is, what are they going to do? They're going to tuck that ball and just get crushed. Because they're like, oh, I don't want to cause a bad play. Nope. I mean, he literally swung the ball across his body, got it out quickly. That's a fantastic play. This guy can play quarterback. Now, is this a flash in the pan? We'll have to wait and see. I hope not. I think he has the skills and abilities to be an NFL quarterback. Is he Joe Burrow? No. But can he be a good player? Yeah, that was a good team. It's not like they went out there and played Carolina. No offense, Carolina fans. I know you're suffering this year. But you're not playing You're playing a team that was literally a win away from being in first place in the conference. That is a top quality team. And if you can beat them, you can play against them and do what you did, you can beat anybody. Yeah, people say, we didn't play well against the Ravens. You come off the bench and do the best you can. We didn't play well against the Steelers. The play calling was complete crap, which is, we can pivot into that for this week. The play calling, except for the trick plays, which I like trick plays. I think, it's worth a try. Just teach Tyler Boyd, if it's not there, just throw it out of bounds or run with it. Don't try to force a throw. But otherwise, the play calling was top-notch. You got Browning into a groove early. You let him make those short little completions. Everyone's like, oh, my gosh, are they just going to throw short little passes all night? No, you got him comfortable. And then he almost did look like, everybody says Joe Shiesty. Well, maybe he's going to be Jake Feisty. That's the nickname I like the most for him. So he's coming out of nowhere, and he's making these plays looking like, he's not a guy who's barely played football in the last, 5 years. He's actually been on the field is what it looks like. It looks like he's been a seasoned vet. And this is only his second start, playing in prime time. The whole country's watching, and he just lights it on fire. So who wants to take the mic from there?
I do, because I want to bring up an interesting point. Zach Taylor was the play caller last night. And there's a lot of Bengals players that were, or Bengals groups that were like, Zach Taylor needs to be fired, blah, blah, blah. Really, the only two play calls that were really bad were the trick plays. And I hate being able to agree with Joe Buck. Not so much Troy Aikman. He was a good quarterback. But Joe Buck, I really don't like the guy as an announcer. But he makes a good point, right? You call those trick plays, they end up working. He's a genius, right? He calls those trick plays and they go the way they did. He's an idiot, right? I mean, you can't. It's a really big win or a really big loss on those plays. I mean, like what you were saying, Boyd needs to just come out, understand that if that throw's not there, if his one option's not there, he's either got a lane to run or throw the ball out of bounds. Get rid of it. Zach, you looked like you had something to say.
I just I did what you would normally do, and I took notes of the eye test on the first 5 drives, and then I kind of got lost in the sauce after halftime. So first drive, liked everything all the way up until the fourth. I liked the 4th down call. Jake just sat in the pocket, right? I think we had a little conversation there for a minute about that. The trickery call, loved it on the 2nd drive. However, I think it should have been later in the game. You didn't develop enough of the offense to catch them off guard, right? And then you ran it later on to the other side, which led to the issues with Tyler Boyd. The 3rd drive, one got involved. We ran the ball, we got the play action going, and then we capped it with a Mixon touchdown. 4th drive, play action, opened it up, and guess what? Mixon scored on the run again. Okay. And he did it in the red zone. We gave the ball to the running back in the red zone. And the 5th drive, I just didn't understand that one. I know we kind of debated about that a little bit too. Why we ran the clock out, we had a chance to go down. We had 3 timeouts. We could have went down there and actually capitalized on the lead that we were looking to take right before, we're kicking it back off to them with 43 seconds. But at the same time, I get paid $0 to do this game. I'm not coaching. So they obviously had a strategy in their mind. They're playing chess. I'm just here analyzing.
Josh, want to comment?
Yeah. In all honesty, when I was watching the first trick play, it looked to me like it was just going to be a jet sweep that got blown up. And Jamar Chase kind of just panicked and said, I'm not going to lose 15 yards. I'm going to throw it over here and try to make a little bit back. It didn't look like that's the way it was supposed to go. But yeah, the second one, I'm not a big fan of those trick plays because half the time they don't work. When they work, they look awesome. You see it all the time with Odell. Odell gets that trick play to him, and he'll just throw 50 yards and get the completion every time. But that doesn't work all the time. I know normally Boyd's pretty good at that kind of play, but it just wasn't working out in that game. Keep pounding the ball down their throats is what they should have kept doing. It was effective. It wore the defense down, and it allowed the offense to actually get humming. So I was pretty happy with the play calling for the most part. Chase Brown had more than 8 rushes. So he eclipsed what they did last week. Yes. So pass it right back to you, Casey.
So, we're just going to go ahead and make this a rule. We're going to send our recommendations to Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan. If you're going to have a wide receiver throw the ball, you need to bring back the guy with the best QBR in franchise history for 3 passes, and that's Mohamed Sanu. The guy just threw touchdowns. He could throw the ball 60 yards and get a touchdown because he used to be a quarterback. Maybe Tyler Boyd was in high school too. I don't know if I can't remember off the top of my head if he was or not. But yeah, Mo Sanu, he was a decent receiver. When he threw the ball, it was usually a touchdown. So unless you got him on the roster, let's not try to let receivers throw the ball. Let's let quarterbacks throw the ball. There's other trick plays you can run where the quarterback can still throw the ball. So that's just my 2 thoughts on there. I don't want to bring down the mood, but let's talk a little bit about Chase being the villain. If you guys heard his interview last night, one today, he's talking about, I want to be the villain last night. I don't know how he didn't get a taunting call on that touchdown. I mean, I love it as a villain. Like, yeah, that's right. Rub it in, but it's just like, man, that's 15 yards. And then it wasn't. I was like, oh, okay, I'll take it. But that was probably the most blatant taunting I have ever seen that didn't get called. But it was epic. I mean, just absolutely. And he was just playing with that kind of attitude, that swagger, and I love it. But yeah, how does he not get a 15-yard penalty? Burns, what do you think about that? Burns dropped into the Hoop. What do you think about that?
I was thinking the entire time he was doing it, oh, God, here goes the flag. Oh, God. Come on. Just throw it. Get it over with. It's a taunting. And they didn't throw it. And I'm in disbelief the entire time. My mouth's just wide open. I'm just staring at the TV like, really? Josh Allen got one for pointing at him. Jamar Chase turned around and stared at him and smiled. Like, that was legit taunting. He slowed down. Like, you can't catch me. You remember being a kid, you're playing tag with like your little cousins and, you're faster than them because you're like 10 years older and you just turn around, you can't catch me. Like, that's taunting. Well, that's what Jamar Chase did. And I thought it was funny. I don't think that McPherson would have had a problem kicking a little bit longer extra point. I think he'd have been fine anyway. He was good at 56, but 57 just hit the upright, man. Woo! Oh, that broke my heart. Josh, what do you think about that Chase play?
Thought it was beautiful. That's the kind of thing that we need. This team needs that spark, and we kind of got away with one, but you know what? That's going to happen. You get away with some. Next time, you probably won't get away with it. But I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason, really, as to why the refs throw those taunting flags. I mean, I don't think the one for Josh Allen was taunting. I mean, he got Mike Hilton. He got Mike Hilton jumping to try to swat down a ball that never left his hand. He was just that was just playing. So there's no rhyme or reason. It's just every now and again you get away with one, so you just got to roll with it. Go ahead, Burns.
So this is when I say I got lost in the sauce. I was actually in full dad hubby mode. So I actually missed this touchdown. I was in the middle of putting kids to bed and doing the dishes, trying to do my doodly duties. So that one I missed. However, there was a lot of chatter from what I saw throughout the game that didn't get called at all. So it wasn't just Chase's play that there was no flags. There were other plays down the road, except for there at the end when they tried to jump the field goal and they called unsportsmanlike conduct. But other than that, like, they were letting them play and letting them talk, and I love it. I love when you can have those kind of games where it's not getting too crazy and people, coaches are getting involved in things like that, and I'm getting down the field there and reminiscing in my heart of 2015. But yeah, it was good. It was a good-hearted football game. It was love across the board. How about Trey? How about Trey just stepping up and being a human and taking care of Trevor Lawrence and praying over him and making sure that he's all right and putting the good vibes out there. Speedy recover, Trevor, excuse me.
That was a classic move. Playing defensive line, you're meant to rip people's heads off. That's what you do for a living. You just try to crush them. But he even tried to catch himself to not fall on top of him. But you're 60, 70 pounds. I don't know how exactly big he is. There's no way you're going to stop yourself when you start going that way. You're just going down. And it was just an absolute brutal hit because he didn't just the step on the ankle. He went back at the perfect thing and then just squished him. So not even trying to hurt the guy, you just falling onto him. But yeah, when your leg gets bent that way after your ankle gets stepped on, they're calling it a high ankle sprain. And I mean, we'll follow up on it. I don't know if we'll talk about it again on here, but I know it'll be in our chat. But high ankle sprain, I don't know. We'll see. Give it a couple days before they actually officially report on that. Because that didn't look like a high ankle sprain to me. That looked brutal. But one last thing on the penalties. Yes, let them play. Overall, I prefer the game with less flags than more flags. And plus, if they'd have called that on Chase, then they'd have to call the 2 different penalties of people throwing their helmets. Because Lawrence, I get that. He was mad, threw it, definitely shouldn't be a flag. But when the receiver on Jacksonville chucked his helmet, that should
Zay
have been,
Jones.
yeah, that should have been 15 yards from sportsmanlike conduct there. But if you're going to let Chase do his thing, I get why you let the other guy do his thing. And I'm fine with that. Just keep it fair and equitable on both sides of the ball. Throw less flags. That's what all fans want. Obviously, don't let blatant holds or anything like that happen. But, yeah, the little tit for tat, this is a grab, that's a touch. Let that stuff go. Let them play. But back to, the Lawrence injury and Hendrickson's awesome reaction. Hoop, what do you got?
I'm going to be honest with you. When I saw it live, I was thinking, oh, that looked bad. But then I noticed Trey Hendrickson trying to hold himself off of him, especially with that new rule where if you sack him and land on top of him, it's personal foul or whatever. It's stupid. Anyways, it's just stupid. You got like a huge guy going full speed, hit somebody. He's not going to control where he lands. Anyways, off that topic. Positive topics, right? Trey Hendrickson, that is what you call a leader on and off the field. He is somebody that you can have your kids look up to when they play the sport, how to do it the right way. He hustles. He goes 100% the entire time. He doesn't give anything less. And then after the play's over, trying to help Trevor Lawrence up. And then when he couldn't help him, he prayed for it, right? I mean, that's shows the reason why he's got the crosses under his eyes. I mean, he's the real deal. Not only just a good football player, but also a good dude. And that's honestly, I would rather have that on my team than someone who's just a dirty football player who gets away with things. Heinz Ward. Anyways.
90s, 2000.
Anyways. But yeah, I mean, Trey Hendrickson, good dude. See, when I saw that, like, it just honestly, it brought a little hope back in my life, like that, the world isn't as crappy as I think it is sometimes. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was about the classiest move you could have made. He did everything he could. You could see where the offensive lineman actually stepped on Trevor Lawrence's ankle as he was backing into it, and it folded him. As soon as he hit it, he went down, and there was nothing Trey could do, and he knew it. You could tell that he felt bad about it. He tried to help him up, and then he just immediately went back down. He couldn't stand up. And then, him going down on one knee, taking his helmet off and just praying for him, that's just top grade class act. You couldn't ask for anything more from a leader of the team. On top of that, we definitely know how it feels to lose your starting quarterback, especially a Super Bowl caliber team, and it sucks as fans.
We don't know what that feels like. What are you talking about?
No. If there's any Jacksonville fans that listen to this, just know we're here for you. You can talk to us.
You can tell us how it makes you feel.
Bring in the feels. We have no ill will versus the Jacksonville fan base at all.
No.
We're here for you.
Well, go ahead. I'll pass it right back over.
Yeah, so, man, this is like a good feels only episode. So I got to bring us really down. No, I'm just kidding. But we will dive into Who Dey History here a little bit. So the article we had up this week talk about Who Dey History is the initial meeting between the Jaguars and Bengals back in '95. And for those of you who don't remember, that's when it was the AFC Central. So there was no north, south, anything like that. There was just one big division called the Central, and you had different teams in the East and the West. But the Jaguars and the Bengals were rivals for 4 or 5 years there. They played a lot of competitive games. I remember going back and forth and being close and tight. Yeah, 7. There we go. Zach does math. Thanks, Zach. But, it was really a lot of good games. They went back and forth. I remember there was one where the Jaguars made me so mad. The Bengals had like a 25-yard field goal to take the lead. It gets blocked and returned for a touchdown. Welcome to being a 90s Bengals fan. Nothing more Bengals than that could happen to you at that point. You just expected that kind of crap to happen. None of us expected this matchup to go this way. And it was just an incredible thing to watch. But go back to those AFC Central days. It doesn't even just have to be about Bengals Jaguars. Who was your favorite rivalry from that era that's no longer a rival because they're not in the same division? Burns, who you got?
Man, I would have to say the Oilers. They were always, they were in that Central Division before, Houston came around in 2002. That was always a good game. Indy was always a good, fun matchup. Obviously, you've got the three that are still around. But those are always good games. I told you this, Casey, yesterday. I can't remember if it was 98 or 99, but either way, it was a home game at Riverfront. The Bengals got blown out by Jacksonville. I was there. It was my first ever Bengals game my stepdad took me to. And then late fourth quarter, all you hear throughout the entire thing, Mike Brown sucks. Mike Brown sucks. Me being 8, 9 years old, I don't know what that means. So I asked my mom, Monday morning conversation, hey, what does this mean? She don't know. Or she's laughing, rather. And she's like, why don't you call the radio station and find out? So I call B105 up and I ask them, I'm like, what does this mean? And the guy literally tells me, he goes, that's sucking through the saw motions. I think that's what they mean. And now I think about it as an adult. Well played, B105. Well played.
They're obviously parents, Bernsey. Obviously parents. And so my favorite rivalry was always watching the Steelers-Bengals. And that's always been my favorite rivalry with watching the Bengals. Absolutely love seeing the games 2 times a year now. Always having at least one of them semi-close, typically to my birthday. It's been very nice the past few years. We've, kind of had the upper hand with Joe Burrow, so that's been pretty nice. But it was really bad watching that last game. So But the '90s in general were just rough. But I always felt like the Bengals playing the Steelers in the '90s, we had a chance. So that was
Nick. The question was, who is your favorite rivalry that's no longer in our division? Not just like somebody that's still in our division.
Just like I don't care about stats.
He's a man outside of society's bounds. He does what he wants.
You're not going to tell me what to do. Exactly. Come on, man. You're not going to tell me what to do. No, but seriously, I used to love watching the Bengals Packers play. That was my first Bengals game. Casey, you and your dad took me with Papaw. That was one of my favorite memories growing up, watching Brett Favre and Reggie White and Antonio Freeman playing against the Bengals over at Riverfront.
Oh, good times. Josh, what do you got?
Well, I don't kind of have to say Bengals Jags. Jaguars 13-12 all time against the Bengals. They've got just a slight lead. Most of the games, I'm just looking over the scores right now. Most of the games have been fairly close. There have been some blowouts on either side, but most of them have been pretty close, pretty competitive, good games, much like yesterday's game. See teams just seems like when one of them's good, the other one's going to be good also. When one sucks, the other's going to suck. It just seems to be how both franchises have just been going the whole time. So I would kind of just have to go with that one.
Well, I'm going to pull one out here that everybody's going to at first be in shock. I'm going to go with the Browns. And for those of you who don't remember, the original Cleveland Browns, not this expansion team that took over their namesake, the actual original Cleveland Browns, now known as the Baltimore Ravens. Because for those of us who remembered that game, like when they were leaving, I've never seen a team get booed by their own fans more than the Browns did their last year in Cleveland. And they were all just celebrating, like, we're so glad to get out of this crap hole city that doesn't deserve football. I remember there was a receiver they had named Keenan McCardell, who has played for many years. And the funny thing, as soon as they went to Baltimore, he got traded somewhere else. But he used to tell the Browns fans, like, y'all suck. This place sucks. He'd score touchdowns, I could give him the ball, and they'd just throw it behind his back. So the fact that you had a team in a city that hated each other at the end. And it was just being a young football fan, you're like, this is uncomfortable. And when you think about it at that point, there was a real good chance that the Bengals could have that happen too, or they may have left Cincinnati because they're in such a bad state and they're talking about getting the new stadium, and the city and the team were not on the same page for a long time. But the old Browns, the Bengals had a long-standing rivalry with them for their basically the entire existence. And the funny thing is, most young sports fans probably don't even realize that the Browns that are there today are an expansion franchise that got the naming rights. They're not the original Cleveland Browns. They were not the ones founded by Paul Brown, even though that's what they say every single time that they do a game against the Browns. They have his namesake, but that is not the team. That team plays in Baltimore now. So, yeah, I think the old Browns would be my favorite rival from that time. I do miss the Oilers. The Oilers had great uniforms.
You are old. You know, your lack of hair kind of depicts that for us. But
Hey, come on now.
all I heard is blah, blah, blah.
Can we take the original teams and put them back in their home city? So, like, make the Ravens go back to Cleveland, and then I don't know what to do with Cleveland, and the Titans back to Houston, and so the Colts back to Baltimore.
We're going to take the new Browns, put them in Indianapolis, put the Colts back in Baltimore, put the Ravens
there you
back
go.
in Cleveland. Tennessee doesn't get a team anymore. We're going to give them back. Or we'll give them the Texans and put the Titans back in Houston and the Oilers.
The Rams tried to do that. They went back to California.
The Rams are going to move back to St. Louis in 5 years. Who knows? Like
Probably.
it's going to be the most random.
They're going to go to Canada.
I don't know.
Well, St. Louis is a depressing place, so there's that. Anyways, that's not a good note to get any fans of Missouri, but who's cheering for the Bengals in Missouri? Probably not many people anyway. And the city of St. Louis doesn't really care much for Cincinnati, so it is what it is.
There's kind of a baseball rivalry there too, so you know.
St. Louis is always number 2 in my art.
Well, that's interesting.
Was the first loser. So, okay.
No, it was a poop joke.
Oh, well played.
All right, Dad.
Subtle.
Well
All
played.
right, Dad.
Well, I said this has just been after group therapy last week. This is very nice to just have nothing but laughs and good times and not doom and gloom. That's what we were all worried about last week, is the whole year is going to be doom and gloom. It's going to be, we're going to have to fill some airtime here with trying not to, be depressed and jump off a cliff. And we're legitimately back in the playoff race now. And don't want to get too far ahead, but if you can beat the Colts, you just knocked off a team ahead of you. You can beat the Browns, you knocked off a team ahead of you. If you can beat the Steelers, you knocked off a team ahead of you. If you can keep doing that and somehow maybe beat Kansas City or win another game against the Vikings, you could be right there in the mix. Now, you didn't help yourself out earlier in the season, but those teams have to play other good teams. The Texans are going to have to play a few people. The Broncos are going to have some tough games ahead. So why not? And Steelers with Mitch Trubisky, I don't think so. I don't think it's going to go well for them. The Ravens have to play the Steelers one more time. I haven't looked at the schedules yet. But at this
It's going to
point,
be a bad game.
but I mean, at this point, what I'm honestly going to say is I want every division leader to win pretty much the rest of the year, because the Bengals aren't going to catch a division leader. But they could catch all the wild card teams. So the division leaders could beat up on all of those other teams in their division. Fantastic. If we have like 4 teams with 13 wins, I don't give a crap. All we have to do is beat you once in the playoffs. That's all we got to do. So just get us to the playoffs. And if I'm looking around the league, I don't know if I want to see the Bengals in the playoffs. They're just a team that's feisty, scrappy. And for them to get there, the defense is going to have to be improved. Something is going to have to happen on the defense to make them better. And that means that Browning is still setting the world on fire. So let's all dream here for a minute as we pass the mic back around again. What do you think the Bengals' playoff chances are? How close could they get, and what needs to happen? Josh, I'll give it to you first on this one.
Well, I think it's a definite possibility. We have 2 weeks. First week was not very good from Browning. Second week was great. It's going to have to find some sort of consistency, mainly with the coaching staff. I feel like if they can figure that out, they can figure out play calling from that aspect. If they can get Browning to lead the team to the playoffs, which I think, again, is a definite possibility. I mean, the Chiefs are not really impressing anybody this year. They just got beat up by Green Bay. So, I mean, I would say I'm probably 30% chance they're going to make it. There's a possibility they could definitely improve that after what they do against the Colts. So we'll just have to play it by ear, but I'm going to give it over to Nick.
I'm just going to be positive because screw you guys. I'm going home. All right.
Aren't you already home?
All right. Anyways, back on a serious note, I'm going to be positive. I mean, if Jake Browning continues to show like he did last night, all right, Monday Night Football spotlight, and he shows up. He didn't just show up. I mean, he did phenomenal. All right. If he shows up like that every week here on out, we're a legitimate contender for late round playoffs, if not, dare I say, the Super Bowl.
Bold.
I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, he played top-notch football last night. I mean, he was throwing dimes, like I said earlier. The only real iffy part is, can we have consistent play calling, and can our defense come out and make a couple turnovers and a couple stops to really help out the offense? That will be the determining factor, I think, moving forward, is our defense. Can our defense get their crap together and actually make some good tackles and stop allowing the other team to open up these huge running lanes for the running backs, so that way they get 10, 12 yards to carry. So, I mean, in essence, I think it's all going to ride on defense. I think everything else is pretty much spot on right now. We got T. Higgins back. Jamar Chase is hot. Tanner Hudson, love the guy. I think he's our future at tight end. I mean, Herb is he's good, Zach. Okay, don't go yelling at me here. All right. I think Herb's good. Sample, he's good to give him a breaks. I know. You're like my wife. And and I think Sample, he's good there with the third string to give them a break or to add a second tight end in the set. So, I mean, we have weapons to use. I think that Jake Browning, as long as they're able to establish a running game, I think offense is set. Defense is where the question mark is. And if we can take that question mark off and at least have like a period for a statement or even an exclamation point being extremely positive, I think we'll be set. Bernsey, what do you think?
So I'm looking at the standings and the teams that are above us. You have Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Indy, Houston, Denver. And just based off the eye test, if Houston wins 4 of their 5, like they probably will, Denver's probably going to win at least 3 to 4 of their games. Pittsburgh and Cleveland got to play each other. Then they've also got to play Baltimore. So I'm going to go with our only shot is the 7 seed, which would, if the season were to end the way it is, that would put us in Miami. So the hope is that Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland just beat up on each other, along with the Bengals beating Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and everything else. But I think realistically, I think we're going to finish the year 9-7. I think I did my math, or no, 9-8. 10-7 with the 7 seed.
Well, that's hopeful. I mean, I'd be curious, since you got it pulled up, who do the Texans play? Where's the upset lie for us? Where's our hope at?
So their remaining schedule are the Jets, Titans, Browns, Titans again, and then the Colts.
They're gonna lose to the Titans at least once. They'll lose to the Titans at least once.
4-8. The Titans are 4-8 playing Will Levis. Love the guy. I think he's going to be a phenomenal going to have a pretty
They
decent
just played the
career.
Titans and lost.
No, they didn't. They had to play the Titans twice. So,
Well, like I said, we just became Titans fans, even though they beat up on the Bengals earlier this season. We want to see them beat Houston twice. That'd be fantastic. Pay Cincinnati.
that would be
back.
all right. So, just run through the list. So, Pittsburgh's got New England, Indy, us, Seattle, and then close out with Baltimore.
The Patriots
Cleveland.
got to win the game at some point. That's my whole thing. You're shutting people out or holding them to 6 points or less. They got to win a game. Make it Pittsburgh. That'd be good for everybody. Just beat Pittsburgh. Make a feel-good win.
Fingers
for you.
crossed. Now, the Browns are interesting here because they've got to play Jacksonville next week. The Bears have found an offense somehow. Then, like we talked about already, they've got to play the Texans. They might play the Aaron Rodgers-led New York Football Jets, and then they close out with us. So there's some hope in there. Not likely, I don't see them beating the Jets with or without Aaron Rodgers. I don't see Aaron Rodgers coming back either. The Browns, meh. Depending on what Jacksonville team shows up next week without Trevor Lawrence. And that plays a lot of questions there. So
How long is Trevor Lawrence going to be out?
They're not saying because they're just going with a high ankle sprain. So I would guess at most 2 to 3 weeks at a minimum.
But I mean, you're talking Joe Flacco-led Browns. That's not the scary Deshaun Watson, all-pro type quarterback when he's on offense. It's Joe Flacco. I mean, the luckiest guy to win a Super Bowl other than Trent Dilfer. So 2 Ravens quarterbacks, the luckiest people to ever win Super Bowls. They're terrible quarterbacks, great defenses. But I think there's hope. You never know in the National Football League. The Bengals basically they have to win. That's all they can do is try to win ball games. And if they can win ball games, you never know what's going to happen. The Titans could beat the Texans twice. The Jets could somehow, with whoever they pull off the street to play quarterback, they could win a game. Who knows? It could happen. Is it likely?
They could call you.
Yeah. I've got a couple of weeks. I can throw football over those mountains. So let's just put me in, coach.
Come on, Uncle Rico.
I'm as good as Zach Wilson. I mean, he looked really bad half the time. So,
and he doesn't even want to play quarterback for them anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Put me in there. You can pay me 1 game check, and I'll probably never be able to walk again. But hey, I'll get hit by one of those guys. Like, I don't move very well at 35. I can't run away from anybody, especially people that run 4.3.
What's league minimum right now? 450?
Something like that.
475 with inflation.
I think it's right about that. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Just
so then do the math of whatever 5 games left of 17 and pay me that difference and I'll take it.
There'd be a lot of kneel downs. I'm just going to go ahead and say that now. There's going to be a lot of me just giving myself up when someone's running at me. Nope. Tough drill. That's all it's going down here. I am too old to be trying to outrun people that were faster than me when I was 17. Hand the ball off to somebody, and if they want me to throw, I'll be like, okay, good luck. And that's why I never offer my services to the Bengals when they're bad. I offer my services to the Reds because relief pitchers, when you give up home runs, you're probably not going to get hurt. People might not like you, but you're not going to have a 300-pound guy falling on you. So, hey, I'll still offer my services to any bad baseball team. I'm not good. I'm not going to help your bullpen in any way, shape, or form. But I can give up just as many home runs as the guy you're paying 15 times as much. Right here for that all day. Give me a call. Oh, man, we're way off topic now. Coming back to football here, and not my never will happen NFL or MLB career, neither of which will ever happen to see the light of day. I don't know. I was the best player in my own state of mind, though. So I digress. Back to actual football here. So the Bengals do have a chance. I think they could possibly make the playoffs, which would be exciting. How great of a December would that be to watch? Just being in the hunt, making it competitive. Quickly going back to baseball, yeah, the Reds didn't make it, but how much more fun was it when the Reds were competitive this summer? As much as people say, we want to tank, we want that, top or closer to the top pick. I want to see a competitive football team. I've suffered through enough bad Decembers and January to where you're just like, well, this is miserable. Let's just wait for spring training to start. No, I don't want to worry about spring training. I don't even want to think baseball. It is 100% football. If they stay competitive, they play tight. Even if they fall just a bit short, I'll be happy that, hey, I got to watch exciting football. They won some games, and they didn't just lay down and quit, and that builds momentum for next year. So I definitely think there's a chance they can make the playoffs. But it's time to pivot here and get into looking at this week, battle of the backups. I mean, this is going to be an interesting game. I don't know if I'm going to say a great game, but it should be interesting. Gardner Minshew, he actually is Uncle Rico getting out there and playing. That's what he looks like. So it'll be interesting to see which one of the backups has a better game. And, yeah, Minshew threw for a lot of yards last week against the Titans, but that was a game I couldn't believe how that ended, just terribly. The Titans mismanaged again, did not play very well to try to get a touchdown. They're like, we're just going to settle for a field goal so that way they get the ball back and drive down and win it overtime. So the Colts have been a surprising team. They're gritty. They're feisty. They're going to play it tough. And I'm going to kick it to Burns to get his initial thoughts and score prediction.
So, yeah, absolutely. We're only live or anything.
Is she going to come do a cameo? Come join the show. Come on.
No, she does not want. She's trying to avoid the camera. Is what she's trying to do.
Turn the camera toward her and let her join the YouTube universe.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, I don't see a spread here, but the matchup predictor has the Bengals as the favorites with 53% of the vote. It's going to be an interesting one. All of the games this week are going to be pretty much backup quarterback matchups. So it's going to be an interesting week 14. I think that the Bengals continue to build on what they did this past week, continue to have great practices, leave the trick plays at home because clearly they're not working, right? And then run the football, get both chases involved in the offense, let DJ cook. He's the highest rated pro football focus player, DJ Reader was. But how about DJ Turner stepping up, making big plays this past week? Let him continue to do this stuff. Jordan Battle was making plays. We have some hope in that secondary, but there is still got to be some work to be done. Schemes, matchups, things like that. So continue to rely on the defense to make those decisions. Lou, if you want a job outside of being a defensive coordinator, got to mix it up some more, man. We love you, though. My prediction score is going to be 31-18. Got to be something random. So that's my goal.
I like it. Josh?
Yeah, I'll take it. Well, I'd say keys to the game is really just going to be get the ball into your playmakers' hands. Get it to Jamar Chase and not 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage on those screens that they love to run every other play. Get it down the field. Get him in space. Let him do his thing. Let him work. Houston has become I always call him Houston. Hudson has become a favorite for Browning. It seems like he's the one that Browning trusts the most of all the tight ends. Let him get out there. Let him try to hurdle some people. He was trying to do that at the end of regulation yesterday. Let him get out there. Let him try to beat them up and just run the ball constantly. Run the ball. You saw how well it worked yesterday. Keep running the ball. And I think they have a pretty good chance of beating up the Gardner Minshew-led Indianapolis Colts. I'll be honest, I haven't watched too many Colts games this year. But I do know they have Alec Pierce. He's a Bearcat alum, and I loved watching him as a Bearcat, but I would love to watch him lose come Sunday. So I'm going to say it's going to probably – I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to say 2015 Bengals.
I like it.
There's safety in there somewhere?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a safety.
We're getting some exciting crap
Oh,
going.
God.
Field
Anyways,
goals.
so yeah, it's like 5 field goals. Anyways, hey, I'm getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm able to do simple math now without a calculator.
He took
Anyways,
his shoe off. You know, he can count all his toes now too. So
I know. I mean, Jeezel, that's what happens when you don't wear shoes. Anyways,
Don't put that on
I think
camera. I don't want to see it.
Like Aaron Rodgers.
I wear socks most of the time anyway, so that way I don't have to look at it either.
that's the listeners all need to know that Nick wears socks. We're all going to do it.
Everybody is, even me.
I can sleep
Anyways.
well at night now.
Yeah. Can I talk?
No.
No.
No? Okay. All right. Awkward silence over.
Yeah.
So I think keys to this game coming up with Indianapolis is going to be getting pressure on Minshew. I think that pressuring him and making him make those decisions under pressure is going to be huge. And I think that pressuring him the entire game is going to be huge defensively. Offensively, well, let's step back. Jordan Battle, freaking beast. Okay? Just a beast. And then Turner, the way that he would come up and hit people, destroying them. Love it. Anyways, all right, offensively. Looking at Browning to be able to get consistency, right? To be able to mix up the running game, making sure that the strategy there is run first, pass second, or at least make Indy think that you run first, pass second. I mean, look at what it did, opening up that Chase 70-something yard touchdown pass, and getting that one-on-one on the outside. You know, you draw the safety in with that pass, with that play action. Zach, I've been saying it for the past, I don't know, how long has Zach Taylor been a head coach now? 5, 7 years, something like that. I've been saying it ever since 4, whatever. I don't know, 5. I've been saying it ever since he was head coach. We need to run the darn football. Zach Taylor's been a pass first play caller, and running the football has always been the key in Cincinnati, in the AFC North, and the AFC period. Being able to run the football and establish that run game to open up the pass game has always been the key to success in the AFC. I say the Bengals established the run game with Chase Brown, with Joe Mixon. I think that they open up those play actions, open up Chase down the field, T. Higgins down the field, Irwin down the field, Tanner Hudson. I think the Bengals win big this week. I think they make a statement game, 35-14.
Man, that's so 2 big blowouts, and we got a close one there. So I'm actually going to test the theory here. So we joked about this. When I pick the Bengals to win, they lose. And I pick the Bengals to lose, they win.
Pick them to win now. You're jinxing it.
So I know that's what I'm confused of. We're going to test the theory, and if they lose, it's on me. I'll take the blame. You know, send me all the hate mail. 26-20 Bengals. That's what I'm going with. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be close. You know, it's going to come down to almost the end there, but a big defensive stop. And this time, DJ Turner's just going to fall on the ball and not try to scoop and score. That was the only complaint I had about him all night. Just fall on the ball. You don't need a touchdown there. All you need to do is fall on it and you win the game. Scoops and scores are great, but if you don't get it, you look like an idiot trying to pick it up when someone else jumps on it. But that made me think of something. Before we get out of here and go to final thoughts, we have to talk about 2 of the funniest moments I have ever witnessed watching football. One was Jordan Battle literally covering the guy's eyes. That was epic. I mean, I wish I had thought about that when I played safety. It made it a lot easier to be a defender. Let me just cover his eyes. He's not going to be able to see it, and then he can't catch the ball. It's just great.
Our playing careers probably would have lasted a little bit longer, Casey.
Exactly. Like, hey, this guy's on to something. Could have become a whole trend. But before I pass them up on these subjects, the other one that was great was the ref completely trolling the entire Jacksonville team. False start on everybody but the center. I heard somebody say that. It made me think of the movie The Replacements, where it was a personal foul on the entire offense. I'm like, wow, I've never heard it a penalty be called on everybody. When they showed the replay, the center was just like, what the heck, guys? Like, why'd everybody jump? What are y'all's thoughts on those? Who wants to jump in?
Well, I think the center was supposed to snap, and he just didn't. And that's why he was confused, and everybody else was moving. He was like, oh sorry, guys. I didn't mean to do it.
That's why I think Troy – I was just saying, I think that's why Troy stepped in and said usually when they make calls like that where it's everybody but the center, it's actually on the center because he was the only one that didn't move. So
that's typically it.
I will say the other funny thing, it wasn't so funny at the time, but it's funny now. How did Jake Browning get 2 false starts in one drive? Like his only bad moments of the night. How's a quarterback false start twice? I've never seen that before. That's crazy.
He started falling forward and couldn't quite catch himself.
And backwards.
He was getting a little too excited. Yeah, one was forward, one was backwards.
Falling forward and then
So, for Bengals fans out there, if you're not old enough to remember, which you're probably not, there was a guy named Brandon Bennett who was a backup running back for the Bengals when Corey Dillon played for him. And he was a pretty good kickoff returner, and he was an okay guy as the backup. But when he played against the Lions one week, he literally tried his best not to get a false start, just literally face planted. He committed, face mask to the field. It's probably on YouTube somewhere. Look it up. It's one of the funniest things you'll ever see. And the funny thing was, it was not a game where the Bengals were close to losing. Like, they played really well. They won the ball game. So just YouTube that. Enjoy the laugh. Brandon Bennett, it was really funny.
Anyways. So back to the topic here. Everybody but the center. Yes, Burns, you are 100% correct. My offensive line high school career, if everybody on the offense goes, but the center obviously did not understand what the cadence was, and that is on the center, 100%. Casey?
Luckily, our center never ran into that issue. I don't think Dustin ever did that, did he?
He would snap the ball before he was supposed to snap it. He would never snap it
Okay.
afterwards. Sean would always be like, "Oh my gosh, what am I doing?"
Well, like Jake Browning on his touchdown, he was like,
Yeah.
that was the slowest QB sneak I've ever seen, but it worked.
Hey, but he scored.
He didn't have the
Who
ball.
cares?
He was looking for the ball. He didn't
like-
have it. The transfer didn't work.
Anyways, but the hand over the eyes, absolute genius. Loved it. Absolute genius. I mean, come on. I would have never played defensive backfield. I was always too slow. But you know, God didn't build me to run. He built me to fight. But you know, like a man. Anyways, so he also gave me hair on top of my head. Which
That's
I'm
low
1
blow.
of 4.
Low blow.
Yeah, you're thinning. Get out of here. That's the reason why you grew it out.
Me?
Well,
Get
Yeah, I
out of
see more of
here.
your forehead.
You can't
I
say
see more
worth,
of your
Kenny.
forehead.
We're just gone.
yeah. My hair just moved from here to here, and this is awesome. So I don't care.
My hair, it's like Miracle Grow. It's like it just spread. It's like
Okay.
Bermuda grass.
Are you going to get
At
to
least
an
mine's
actual
not gray.
or are you just going to be talking about hair?
I got off
hair
topic.
on
I'm sorry.
top.
Squirrel.
Where are we going with this? I'm not really sure. Is
Anyways.
this just for men or a Rogaine commercial?
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Give me that back. Okay.
Anyways, hand over the face and defensive coverage. That was freaking awesome. Absolutely loved it. Anyways, on for me. Somebody else talk.
Oh, that was funny. So we're going to come to our closing thoughts here. One, we need to be sponsored by, I guess, Rogaine, which Josh and I are way beyond at this point. So that's not going to
Yeah,
happen.
I think
Just for men, because
yeah.
Nick looks like a grandpa. So give him some just for men for his beard.
Hims?
What?
Hims?
Hims? Yeah, give some Hims. But I'm also.
I mean,
Sure,
I
why
don't need
not?
that, but I mean,
I don't mean it for that, Nick. I'm not going there. It's not about that. They do the stuff for the hair too. Come on, gosh, don't you listen to your ads on Spotify?
no,
Well,
I don't. I
Josh
fast
hasn't
forward
had
to him.
hair since we were in high school. So I think Josh is way too far gone. And I've lost half my head, so I don't even care anymore. This is so much less maintenance. So it is what it is when it comes to bald people. If you don't like the bald people, find another show. But most other Bengals podcasts are also have at least one bald guy. So good luck. Enjoy trying to find people.
Luscious locks in high school.
Oh, back in '82. Puerto Rico. But all right, so we got to get these closing thoughts out here. So I'll probably close this one out today. So Josh, give us your closing thoughts.
This has been feels like a complete train wreck of a show so far. We've gotten off so many topics. No, I'm just thinking about
WNBA.
All the good times. But yeah, no, just come out hard, play fast, run the damn ball. And I think come out with a win. Go ahead, Hoop.
Well, I'm going to give you an X for that one. That was X-rated.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep this family friended. I apologize for everybody else.
They say it in Marvel movies.
Still PG. We're still PG. We're not G anymore.
Okay. We'll just make sure we stay at least PG then, okay?
We're risky and risque.
Or PG John Cena, everybody.
Let's keep this on the tracks here, okay, Zach? You keep on derailing us, all right? We're going to blame all of that on you. That's all of your fault. So we're going to get back on the tracks here. We're going to talk about what our final thoughts are, okay? Just to make sure that you're staying on tracks. No, on a serious note, Bengals need to make sure they're pressuring the quarterback. Obviously, backup quarterback, need to make sure we're pressuring them. Get Chase Brown the ball. Joe Mixon needs to get the ball too. Mix it up between them. And Jake Browning, need to just give him 3 or 4 seconds. And then he needs to get rid of the ball. If he can't get rid of the ball, get out of the pocket. So he can at least have more time. That's my key takeaways, my key points for this week. Who Dey. Excited that we're going into December with a legitimate shot at really controlling our playoff picture and really looking into the thought that, hey, we may be playing in January. That this is a real possibility even with Burrow hurt. So positivity. I'm excited. Let's get it done.
I'm not going to talk about football. We've been talking about football for over an hour now. I'm going to talk to you people, our fans, the people that watch us whenever they want to. If you own a business, a small business, a corporation, any type of business, please help us get some funding so that way we can help grow this product. Okay? I would love a soundboard so I could play Go DJ anytime I want to, or when I talk about DJ Reader. Or DJ Turner for that matter. So please, if you want to throw us a couple bucks, please do so. Who Dey?
We also have a Patreon account if you want to join our Patreon account. Or you can follow us on YouTube because YouTube has a built-in soundboard. And once you get to 50 followers, we can actually do live YouTube stuff. YouTube's
YouTube.
Slowest growing platform. Everywhere else we're crushing it. But, for all you kids out there who's still on the YouTubes, check us out. Finger pistols, double barrel. Anyways, yeah, we're old.
1980s.
But, yeah. we're getting back to being ironically cool at this point. The late 90s are coming back in style. So we're about to be ironically cool and not chuggy, as the kids call it. I don't even know what that means. I've just been called it several times.
You're so mid.
Yeah, whatever that means too. I don't know. Whatever these kids are saying nowadays, sure. I'm old. I don't care. I will stay in my style that I had forever. Anyways, we are so far off the rails. It's been a great episode because we're just enjoying ourselves. Shameless plug by Bernsey. Love it. Get out there, support us, and support all Bengals organizations because, this is one giant community. Talking Bengals is a part of it, but we want everybody to be successful. One team. Let's all win it together. Let's keep enjoying football. Be as optimistic as we can be. I've not come up with the name. This is the first episode we've had in a while where the name didn't come to me in the middle because there's so many fun options. I can't pick one. So you're going to have to stay tuned and wait and see. What?
Chasing the playoffs.
Chasing the playoffs is pretty good.
Hey, I come up with something good every once in a while. That's it.
Off the rails and optimistic junction. because we could not stay on the episode at all. I mean, don't know what to do with your hands. I like that one. If this would have been a different team, we could have taken it a dirtier route, but I don't have a problem with the Jaguars, so we're going to leave them alone. Like Trevor Lawrence, we don't want him to get hurt. We hope he's okay. But this is what I want to be the rest of the year. Lots of fun, games we can enjoy, games that we're not going to be miserable after. I don't think they're going to win every game the rest of the year, but if they did, fantastic. But, I enjoyed tonight. Thought it was fun. Follow us on YouTube. Big plug, YouTube.
Follow us on YouTube.
Also, we are very active on X now. We have really become a member there. We're getting all this stuff going. We're also on Instagram. We're on Facebook. That's the original platform. Come follow us there. We also have lots of great content. Zach's putting out good stuff. Hoop's trying to learn how to do social media, but he's an ancient gorilla, so he doesn't know what's going on. I do social media as well. So watch us there. Like and follow. If you have something awesome, let us know. Send it to us. We'll post it on the page. We want everybody to be able to enjoy themselves, have a good time. And until next week, when we're going to watch the Bengals do great things, Who Dey?
Who Dey, baby.
Who Dey?